Now, we've been talking about a well-known person you
Yep.
like or admire, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general
Sure.
questions related to this. Let's consider, first of all, famous people in your country.
Yep.
So in China, what kind of people become famous?
Politicians, the pop stars, and sports stars. It's similar with the other countries, I think.
Is one of those groups more popular than others?
It depends, because for like politicians, you have to know them because they appeared all the time on the televisions or newspapers. But for some pop stars, because it's especially famous for the young people, because the young people like to follow the stars and the new trends. But for sports stars, they mainly become famous during some Olympic games or some competitions. So it really depends. Yeah.
What about in the past? Were those same people famous in the past? Politicians, sports stars, and pop stars?
I think so, because even I have talked with my parents at their age, and when they was young, they also follow some pop stars and the sports stars, and for the politicians, they change quite often. So yeah, they're also famous. Yeah.
And how about the future? Where do you think it's going to go?
I think this kind of people will remain famous in the future. This type of people, because we still have lots of new pop stars, sports stars, and some new politicians. But I think some other people will join them as well. For example, notice some like entrepreneurs. For example, the founder of the Facebook, he's famous for everyone. Even some not weird but strange people like the founder of the WikiLeaks. He's also popular because the things has done. So I think this kind of new a raising group people will join the famous people in the future.
And do you think technology is going to be the place where many of our famous people come from in the future?
Definitely, because I think notice most of people use the Facebooks, the Twitters, so definitely this kind of website or the new technology will help to make people famous. And I think many people are working on it because there are special companies to make these people famous through the internet, the advertisement or the promotion. Yeah.
Now let's talk about celebrity culture. Often famous people are used in advertising.
Yep.
Can you give me some examples of that?
Well, it's quite often, we can see lots of famous people on the television. For example, like one typical example is the Michael Jordan, because he is actually, when the first time the Nike become very famous, it's because Michael Jordan, because he is the first, he's the first NBA stars, to sign a company to, have the, serious commercials for specific companies. And I think that's a typical example, how the famous people to help the company successful, and also the company use his money to make the stars become more famous. So I think it's, yeah.
And that example you're talking about with Michael Jordan, he's a basketball player who was promoting a product that he was personally involved in producing. What about celebrities who endorse products for which they have no personal connection?
Yeah, it's quite often because people are profit-oriented. Because we can see lots. I think for some like makeup production, we can see lots of famous female stars. They just say, okay, this one's so good, it's fantastic. Nobody know whether she has used it or not. Yeah, I think sometimes it depends on This is ethnical choice. Someone they really try it and use it, and then say, okay, this one's fine, it's good. So we can rely on it, but some of them just want to get the money. So it's just do the promotion stuff without really using it or testing it.
Now, how about our young people? How might famous people or celebrities have a negative impact on our young people?
Well, as we know, some famous people is not that good. I have to say, I cannot say they're immoral, but the actions they have done is really bad. The example for the young kids or the young generation, because some of them once they become the famous, they just try to drugs, have stay in the clubs, all day, not all day, but all the night, and I definitely young people sometimes cannot distinguish good things or the bad things. Sometimes they just follow the star's actions. So it makes, some of them just, say, it's pretty cool thing, to try some drug because that star is trying it, or many stars are trying it. Or it's pretty cool, to stay with girls all the time, different girls all the time, some my, idol, he's doing the same thing. So I think it's pretty bad negative effects on the young people.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the end of the speaking test.
Thanks.